All right, we're back with the mic. Yep. You know what? We're back with the mic. I want to do one more video on this pandemic stuff, on this coronavirus stuff, because I think it's very, very important. And it's about how we're looking at this situation, how we're looking at the whole sort of pandemic situation for here in Australia. And there's been a lot of different views on it, and I'm going to tell you guys my personal sort of view on it and what I think is happening all around us. Now, you might have seen the title of this video, which says it's like a big reset button. And I personally believe that. I believe that this whole pandemic and what's happening around us I wouldn't say so much a blessing in disguise, because I wouldn't say that what's happened has been anything to do with a blessing, but I think in a sense humanity kind of needed this kind of reset, because what had been happening, like around just, you look at the ramifications of what's happened. Now, obviously there have been deaths because of this, in the sick and the elderly for the most part. Now, obviously that's never anything good. Whenever there's death involved, that's obviously nothing good to note about that, obviously. Now, what has happened in terms of what's happened with the environment, what's happening around the world, there's been a lot of upside to it as well, because there haven't been people using as much, say, transportation or machinery or things of that nature. There are some upsides to that. So a couple of great ones that come to mind, and I actually saw this on Facebook. I saw this on a post on Facebook. Now, granted, I usually don't give any attention to posts I see on Facebook, but it really, really caught my attention because it's so true. Now, in China, thankfully the Chinese, that whole country there is on the upside now. They are pretty much almost back to the full pace of things, back to because they went about it the right way. They shut down as quickly as they could. They quarantined themselves, and now they are up, on the uprise of all this, and they can pretty much almost start, back to the way things were, and start, working again, and they can start living, normal lives and that. And there's minimum instances of this COVID-19 stuff around there, and in China as well, because this has happened, because people have had to stay inside, be quarantined and whatnot. The air, the smog around, at the top of the skyline there, you could actually see it. They could see clear skies, and that hadn't been around for years. I don't even know how long. I know it had been years and years that they hadn't been able to see clear skies because of all the transportation and all the factories and whatnot. Just all the emissions in the air. They couldn't see. It was just full of smog all the time, and they could see clear skies for the first time in a very long time. And now, as you can see, in Venice, you would have seen the water in Venice. It was all clear. You could see the fish below. I remember I went to Venice on a family trip back in 2012. Very, very dirty and green, and obviously that's going to be the way. It's a tourist spot. They need places running. They need just all this stuff going, and of course it's going to cause pollution. And now, because there hadn't been anyone doing anything around there, it had naturally cleared up, and that was a great thing to see. And I think it did for me, but I think it sort of showed everyone else that it's very, very important. This stuff to do with nature is very, very important. And it's sort of, the way I say it acted like a reset button was because it sort of showed everyone what could happen in the situation. And I know myself, especially seeing here in Australia, now we're having things like shops shut down, like shopping centres. We have things like gyms shut down. We're having schooling shut down, and we're now even closing the borders as well. And, I don't like to drag on about this stuff. That's why I don't want to make too many videos about it, but I think it's a good thing to sort of see the ramifications of it and see how it's affecting everyone, not just the bad, but in the good ways as well. Now, back to my point, I think it's showing everyone what's, not just what's happened to the environment, but how much we take stuff for granted. And I think that's why it's a good reset button, because we're taking a step back now. And someone like myself who likes to go to the gym, I've really sat back and thought, okay, I even take stuff like, I try and be as empathetic, and I try and have a bigger perspective and try and not take things for granted. But you don't even realize it. And now I'm realizing, okay, I've taken stuff like going to the gym, being able to exercise at a gym for granted. And now that we don't have it, I'm thinking, okay, it's so good that we're able to do that. And there's so many countries that you can't even do that. It's not even safe enough to go out and do that. And we are very, very lucky to be in a time like this. Now, in terms of the bad stuff that's happened, yes, there are a lot of businesses suffering, especially here in Australia. There's a lot of businesses suffering from it, and there's a lot of people suffering financially from it. And as you can see, that places like obviously like Centrelink and whatnot, people need to go and apply. They need to get some money back. They need to get rebates and whatever it may be, because they can't work, and that's a frustrating situation in itself as well. Another thing that I want to note here is that we are very lucky to be living in a time, and I actually heard this from an Instagram video today from Gary Vee. We're very, very lucky that we live in a time where the internet exists as well. Imagine if something like this happened before the internet. Imagine, and it has happened. Events like that have happened. It was a lot harder on them back then, a lot harder on our ancestors and things like that when stuff like this happened back then, because when you couldn't work, there was no internet to find stuff out. You had to rely on either the newspapers or news broadcasts over the radio and whatnot. And there was no way of communicating to each other, unless it was by mail or something like that. There was no internet, and now we can communicate to each other via all this technology and internet and whatnot. Not only that, we have more opportunity to make money and do business, and to at least help ourselves get out of it. Now, I know that it is very hard, especially if you have not been exposed to it or whatnot. But the way I think of it as well is that this is a good opportunity to realize, and thankfully I can realize it because I'm in this line of work as well. It's a good opportunity to realize that having an online income can really help in this situation as well. Now, I'm not making this video to promote anything at all. That's not my motivation at all behind this. I'm just saying that you need to realize, and whether it's got nothing to do with Amazon or with Shopify, drop shipping or anything like that, you need to realize that there are ways that you can take hold of the situation. You can actually turn it around. Let's say, you can start learning on how to drop ship. You can start learning on how to create your own Amazon business. And then when it comes down to it, even if you are just learning at this stage, imagine what would happen if something like this, would happen later on down the line, but you are now in the know and you are creating your own side hustle. Let's just say you have an Amazon business that you're making even, a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand, extra per month on this. That could really help at a time like this, because now, you see in the news, you see on social media, a lot more people are shopping online on Amazon, doing more online deliveries and whatnot. Things like Uber Eats and whatnot, they haven't stopped yet, and that's something to note. That's a really interesting sort of side note here, is that the whole online world, money really hasn't stopped, apart from brick and mortar stores and a lot of other places that rely on the person physically being there. But online stuff, online deliveries and whatnot, they really haven't slowed down, apart from a few instances like your produce and whatnot. But sales for Amazon have actually gone up. Drop shipping, there's a lot of people in the US. The US have more restrictions than us here in Australia, and I've seen multiple people already posting about their sales and whatnot on drop shipping with this whole pandemic stuff as well, and they're still thriving in it. And that just goes to show that, yes, we are in a time where currently there's more restrictions than usual, but the opportunity is there. And I just wanted to quickly note, again, that the internet has changed everything. It's just like what I heard about what Gary Vee was saying. The internet has changed everything, and you need to realize that it is very, very important. Especially, I'm lucky enough that I just have myself to worry about, and I'm not worried about stuff like, okay, kids have school, I need to provide for my kids, I need to get food for the kids, I need to make sure that they're safe, and just keeping taking care of a family, as a whole. And I'm lucky that I just have myself right now to deal with that. And I have my online businesses and whatnot, and that just has made me realize that there are a lot of people out there that would benefit from this as well. It would benefit from even just learning about it in this period. And I would just say to you guys, this is just a message I want to get out to you guys as well, just to try and think of the positives of this, and think about, okay, maybe you do have more time now to learn about this stuff. Just go over and Google it, go to YouTube, watch free videos, start learning about how to create an online income. That could be anything. You could even trade stocks online if you wanted to. You could do day trading on stocks if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be Amazon or Shopify or whatever. You can even flip stuff online. You can flip stuff on eBay. You can even do that while you are online. You don't have to go to thrift stores and buy it. There's ways to do it online as well. So go ahead, go and search for ways on how you can start creating an online income, because it will really, really help at a time like this where you can't actually go outside, you can't go to your job, brick and mortar stores aren't open, shops are closing and things like that. There are still ways to do business, there's still ways to do, to make money, there's still ways around this. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. And, the whole point of this video wasn't just to try and give you guys the upsides of this, but it was to also, just make sure that you guys realize that the internet is such a big thing. We are all taking the internet for granted. Imagine if the internet wasn't here. That's another big thing to note as well. But that's all I wanted to say for this video, guys. It's probably going to be the last, maybe not, that depends on how long. We're going to have to see how this goes with all this COVID stuff. But it's probably going to be the last one that I'm mentioning for now, until there's any other updates, or if there's anything that I need to take note of with this. But apart from that, guys, I hope you guys, I hope this gave you guys some perspective, because I'm trying to stay as positive as I can in these situations, and just kind of look at it, and analyze the situation as well as I can, and not try and freak out about it at all, and just take it as it comes. So I hope this video helped you guys anyway. Hope you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you're watching this, and I will see you guys very, very soon.